Hey friends, welcome to Untitled Coder podcast. This is your host Abdul Majid. In this podcast, I talk to open source developers, community organizers, and content creators to understand what they do, how they do, so that we all can get inspired. In this episode, I'm talking to Srivatsan. Srivatsan is the YouTuber of a very popular channel called AIEngineering. At this time, the channel has more than 10,000 subscribers. So welcome, Srivatsan. Please let us know about your channel and your motivation behind putting content out there.
Yeah, sure. So thank you, Abdul, for having me in this show. Very privileged to be here. So if you take my YouTube channel, it was basically a purely accidental, right? I did not ever wish to be a YouTuber or any sort of like more video content creator. And everything. I was more into blogs. So I used to get a lot of queries from college grads requesting for one-on-one mentoring. The problem is the academics and the real world, the way data science is done is completely different. So a lot of college guys started reaching out to me, asking for time one-on-one. And from my side, it was very difficult for me to talk to an large population. I used to get at least like 10 to 15 requests a week. And even if I spend 30 minutes with one person, it was very difficult for me. So that's how what I started is I started writing my real world experience as articles and posts in LinkedIn. While article were a good way to reach out, the post has a big problem in LinkedIn. It has like 1300 character limits, and typically in an article or post you cannot express much, and you get lazy when writing. And that's how I started getting into more video content. And when I got into video content, YouTube was the best alternative, right? It has larger reach and a wider audience as well. And I would say like it has been like 8 months since I started creating content, and I am enjoying it. Initially, it was very difficult to create a video content. It takes a lot of time and energy, but I now got used to it. I started, if you end to end machine learning series was the very first playlist I had. It was mostly connecting academics and industry, and that's why I changed. That's why I had my channel name also AI Engineering, which signifies ML engineering as well, the end to end mission. So that's how I got started in the YouTube.
Oh, that's great to know the reason behind it. But if you actually see, there were already a lot of channels, tech channels, especially catering to ML and AI audience. So were you hesitant to start one? Maybe it could be one in another hundred, or you were like very confident that okay, I'll start a channel and then I'll become popular.
Yeah. So first of all, there were really great channels out there, right? Like there were a lot of channels who are very focused on either the statistics, machine learning. But one thing I found void, even not only from the channel, right, from the book, is basically going outside of the machine learning and statistics part. It is how industry works, how end-to-end machine learning work. So where there was some content there, but I always felt like when I started, I did not focus on what was already there. I focused on connecting my experience of executing machine learning project and what was not available in the market. So that was my main intention. So I did not have a lot of viewers initially, and still I am not like having a lot of views or something like that. But I wanted to be different in the lot, and I hope I am. That I am not sure that the audience has to tell. But at the same time, like where the as I told you, like the reason even though a lot of YouTube channel was there was some part of the content that was missing where I thought I can add more value, and that's how I went in.
I think that is what exactly makes your channel different, which covers the data engineering part and the end-to-end part, which is usually not very much discussed in any typical ML course. And when you started the channel, how did you get the initial traction? So a lot of YouTubers start and it is mostly like 10 subscriber, 0 subscriber for a very long period. So how was the initial traction? How did you get it?
So one thing is, I started with LinkedIn like maybe not even 2 years now. So when I started with LinkedIn itself, I did not have a lot of readership, but over the time I developed it. Maybe that momentum got into YouTube as well, but still I did not have a huge subscriber base to start with. So it took time, it took patience, it took like a lot of energy to regularly create content. I feel like many people get demotivated when they see the channel is not growing when they start initial content. But I always feel like every step takes you towards an higher subscribership and viewership, and that's what like today, maybe over the last 8 months since I started my channel, I have 100 plus videos. It took for every 1 hour of video out there, it takes like 1 day of effort to create content and then create video and then put it live. it take a lot of patience. So I would say like patience prevails. So every step you take, it's like a gradient ascent algorithm. Every step you take, you're going towards your global minima or your target.
Okay, and that's actually a lot of content, and the time that you mentioned is also, a lot of time that it takes. So, do you think it actually aligned with how, like, who you are? Maybe you are really patient, or you optimized yourself in this process to become more patient and wait for, ideas to come, and then put videos out there and wait for subscribers to come. How was it?
So there are two ways we can look at a channel growth, right? Like you can either see by number of subscribers or number of real interactions. So if I go by subscribers, my channel is not really the greatest out there. But if I go by real interaction, those are comments in YouTube or whatever I get back in LinkedIn, which is my post of spreading out my YouTube channel. I feel like at least I am personally happy, and I did not deviate a lot from what my foundational goal was when I started the channel. My channel was not really to ask people how to become a data scientist, or it is basically how you can survive in the industry in data science. That was my ultimate goal. And even today, if I have some videos of machine learning, I try to cover the missing aspect of it. The thing is, my channel is still running on the same foundational principles, not to attract people. Uh, and the mostly like to take the message of the real world machine learning to the end user.
Okay, that is a very good thing. And when it comes to normally, putting out video or anything, a lot of people usually buy a professional kit, some good microphone, good camera, all these things. Did you start with that, or you started with whatever you had available, rather than investing in kits?
So I started with what was open source and what was available, and that's why some of my audio quality in the initial videos were very bad. So in some video, I had to redo it later. So when I started, I used most of the open source recording software. I just had my Bluetooth headset, with which I recorded. The reason is my interest span and attention span is pretty bad. I start something, maybe I get tired out of it and bail out. So I did not really buy anything until at least I spent 3 months on it. So once it becomes a habit, maybe it becomes easy for it. So I wanted to give. And later I started investing. I don't have a lot of pro kits really. I just have a video editing software, which is one of the cheapest one out there. And then I have a simple microphone, which unfortunately does not work. So
Okay, and I think you also brought up a very good point that a lot of people actually start a lot of things. Like Peter Thiel says, people do 0 to 1, but after one, nothing happens for a lot of people. So how do you get motivated? Means in your case, how you could make 100 videos for a period of 8 months without getting, demotivated or bored?
I see. I sometimes like wake up, create a video only for me to watch. So the reason is like sometimes the video are too advanced for many users that I don't get a lot of viewership. So just follow your passion. Think like you are learning something, because every time you create a content, even though you know it, you learn even other new things out of it. So that's the way I take it. It has been a good source of learning for me as well. And where you get consistently better as you keep doing it. Definitely you need at least 1 year of investment time on YouTube to get a good subscriber base. So the first 3 months, yeah, you will put a lot of videos, and if you're just going to see your subscriber base or viewership in your channel, you may not really feel you're doing feel like it's kind of motivating for you, but keep doing it, and then you will see on a longer term the results out of it. So just follow your passion, put what you're interested in, rather what others are putting. Don't like try to put, okay, how to become a data scientist or something like that. That is not your forte. If your forte, your strength is your core technical skills, just follow that. Maybe you will like it because you're also learning in the process.
So the main point that you're saying is, do what you are very comfortable with, and do it for a very longer period consistently.
That's right.
And consistency also has, two things, right? One is, I need to have regularly some new ideas or content to put it, and the second thing is I need to do it regularly also. So the regularly doing part is what you said right now. So what is I'm comfortable with? How do I get new content ideas, or how do you in your case get new content ideas?
There are there are there are two things I focus on when creating new content. The very first thing is I listen to my comments section, because there are a lot of people who post that can we create content for this, and maybe that the reason they post is they don't find a lot of content available on YouTube, right? And what I do is I collect those and then I post it in LinkedIn to see whether there is a taker for the content, whether they will be interested on it, right? That is the one way I look at getting more contents. The second aspect is like how the market is evolving. So you need to always be a step ahead to how market is evolving. When the market starts evolving and catch up, so you may find your content relevant at that time. So be early on the game. Like typically today, if you see most of the video focuses on the basic machine learning libraries like scikit-learn and everything. But when you go to industry, you need distributed computing, you need accelerated computing with GPUs and TPUs. So that's where I see there are not a lot of content over there. I focus on that, and also I listen to my audience and take it as a feedback and then deliver the content. So that's the way I look at creating more new.
So it's primarily listening to your existing audience base who will give you new ideas of what to create, and then also the
That
market
is right.
trends. Okay. And you also brought up about YouTube comments. YouTube comments is usually known for all kinds of bad things also. So did you happen to have any bad comments, negative or demotivating comments? How did you handle it? Or if someone is actually receiving that kind of comment, so what is your advice for them?
So fortunately, I did not have much of trolls in YouTube. I do have in my other social media channel, but I don't have a lot in YouTube. I do see like a lot of them commenting on the language I use. Maybe English is not my the first language, right? So basically, I see a lot of them commenting on my pronunciation. But that part is fine. Like something you can change over time as you practice. Like a typical example I will give you is I earlier used to say future instead of feature. So I don't know that difference, and I saw that comment like it's that I corrected myself over time. Some I'm not able to correct it because it has been part of my lifestyle since the beginning how I spoke it. But everything is a change. So sometimes yes, you get demotivated when it has not come out, and being in the comment it stays there forever. But we have to mature and grow up, just like move on from it rather than allowing that comment to drag yourself.
Yeah, nice. And I think on the same line, so you had a very prolific profile on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is all about writing text. No one, listens to you or watches you. But now you are moving to a new platform altogether where people would watch you, people would listen to you, and just like you mentioned, for many people whose first language is not English, this is the biggest concern of putting themselves out. So, did you have any hesitation, or how did you overcome it?
So I have even though my language is not the best, I have been on I have been on a customer facing role most of the time, and also on the data sales and marketing role. So I talk to a lot of customers. So from the hesitation side, not, but from the clarity side, yes, I had. But here is how I look at it, right? Now, if you take world population of 7.5 billion people, only 400 million people have English as their first native language. Remaining all that is almost like 5% of the population, right? Remaining all are having English either as their second or third language. And for me, if you really see when I take the fluency, for me like English is comes third in the list in fluency. I know other languages better than that. So it might be kind of a showstopper initially, and see, you will have both the audience. You will have audience who look for your content. There are some audience who look for more like having clarity in how we talk. So I would say like I had hesitation because I had some comments as well, as I said initially, but that's fine. You focus on your strength. If your strength is technology, you can deliver it in any medium. You're not doing a TEDx speaking over here, right? So I would say like focus on clarity.
That's nice. And were you very clear about creating YouTube videos, or you are initially planning to do some kind of a course with a publisher or something like on Udemy, or you didn't have that thought
I
at
did
all?
not have that thought at all. Like after I started my YouTube, there are definitely a lot of people reaching out for courses, but I always wanted to keep this free. At least for now, like I don't have any means of like monetizing it. I wanted to keep it free, and that's why like when I created the course as well, if you see how the course is different, is it does not have the hello world programming, right? Typically, everybody takes what exists and then they create it. These are all create with unique data set, unique problem, replicating the real world scenario, right? And that's the way my focus was. So I did not have any other intention. I still do not have any intention of creating in any other medium. So as of now, I'm focusing only on you. But in future, I don't know. And at least for the next two, 3 years, I don't have a plan. I'm not thought about it.
Okay, okay, that is good for your audience also, I think. And how did you get this idea of making playlists? Because when I look at your channel, you have actually very had a good structured thought. Everything is a playlist now, so almost every video is part of some playlist. So how did you get this idea? You're inspired by some course or channel, or you got this idea?
No, initially I see the very first thing I created itself is was end-to-end machine learning or the ML engineering, right? So it was a sequence of videos that talks about the life cycle of machine learning, starting from your problem framing to deployment. And to give sequence to those videos, I had to create a playlist. But when I started it, I had only two playlists. One is the end-to-end machine learning, and the second playlist was more about data bytes that talk about new technologies that are coming into the market. But over time, like as I started creating more content, like model deployment and all this stuff, and I started doing hands-on coding, I started creating playlists. I would not say I was inspired by anybody, but YouTube as the only medium, only that medium of bringing all the videos together. They don't have any other way of doing it. So it just happened by design.
Okay, so that okay, okay. And the other thing is, now that you are here, actually, you have one of the most perfect LinkedIn profile that we can usually come across. So you post less BS, more relevant content that come with your audience, but again, you have many controversial stuff that people usually disagree with also. So how did this happen? And you said that you are not very old on LinkedIn also. So what do you think is the reason behind your LinkedIn growth or success?
Again, like my LinkedIn growth, when I came into LinkedIn, I saw like at that time the deep learning was a buzzword, right? Everything now you can see some amount of maturity, but 2 years back, yeah, every problem can be solved with deep learning was the motto, and that's how I see a lot of putting forward as well. So one thing I started with is more talking about like various other aspects what machine learning can do, and it connected with a few of the audience. So I continuously started posting about my experience and where I failed on machine learning, where I succeeded, what are the best practices, and I think like that's how slowly I built the audience. Yeah, for some of the content I post, it becomes a controversy, and the reason is not like I want to create controversy. The reason is I'm just speaking out my mind and what I feel is that so I may be wrong also. It's not that I know the entire spectrum of it, but what I feel like sometimes we get focused into some part of it, which may not be the one that will fetch you a job. Because when you go to a job, people will see like how you can directly fit into their ecosystem, right? What are the typical challenges? That's what I focus on. So yes, I it may turn out to be a controversy, but not that I started to be a controversy.
Okay, okay, nice. And you also talked about that you were, previously in customer-facing roles. So you are a very matured professional. But do you think this channel had helped you in your professional life, anyways, or these two are two distinct things, and it had any no correlation at all?
So I typically keep my professional and my personal things different. But one thing I have seen is since I work with a lot of customers, some of the subscribers are also my customers. So one way is they come back to me and ask like, what do you think this can be done? So it is a good way of establishing myself in front of my customers as well, because some of the things like I am pretty close to a lot of financial customers that I have worked over the year. I've been in financial domain for so long, so it has helped me in some way to connect better with the customers. And if you've seen the very recent video, that was the outcome of one of the customer requests where I'm comparing Microsoft Hummingbird and XGBoost because some of my customers a lot. So there was a question. I thought, why not I try it out and then.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is another thing that I wanted to actually talk about. Like Hummingbird announcement happened like a week or back, and in a couple of days you had a video out. So how does this process work? I mean, you yourself make sure that okay, I'll keep my backlog aside, and then I'll just work on this Hummingbird video because either it is hot now or someone asked about it, or it is genuinely intriguing for
So
you?
one is like if there's a question that comes in from pretty close contact, and in this case, like as I said, it was one of my previous customer that came in. The second part is like I feel the industry challenge is deployment, right? And when it comes to deployment, there are a lot of application where you need extreme low latency, and there are a lot of frameworks that are coming out today to cater to that, right? So basically, whenever like these kind of product come, and second thing is I also get whether is it really required, because the way XGBoost is designed or any previous algorithm is designed, they can be made efficiently fast by parallelizing it. Converting that to a tensor, whether it really works. So it also a curiosity that triggers in if it really works and what advantage do I get. And that's how I start experimenting it. I don't start it with creating an intention of creating a video, but I am fast at writing code, so I just put a notebook out of it, and then if I feel the results are something which larger audience need to know, then I create a video out of it.
That's really nice. And since this lockdown started, you would have actually seen a lot of people have started a channel, like people like me. I've started a channel. So, do you think it actually adds, how do I say? So it dilutes the quality of the ecosystem that YouTube has got, or do you see it other way that more content is always good? So, how do you see this thing?
I don't think it dilutes the quality of YouTube, because there will always be users who might either like we never know, right? There might be some content which may be really good people are creating that can be engaging, but sometimes if users do not like, they just drop out and then they just move on. More content is good, but my only thing is like I know, like even I advocate a lot of people when they are building a data science portfolio create YouTube videos. My only thing is like be unique, be different, right? If you're just putting one of the code that is showed in the documentation, or what other channels, most of the channels already have, you might not be really building a great portfolio. Create something very unique that your users will like, that will also create a brand for you. That's what I tell them. But if you're creating for more to gain audience and everything, in that also bring out your experience rather than just telling, okay, this is how it works. I like similar to like the hummingbird case, right? Um, they had very good stats. If you see the research paper, they really had published some amazing stats. If you are really curious, go and see like if it's really the case, if it's really true, and publish your finding.
Okay. And I think you made an important point that could be also translated for any platform where people who actually share their personal experience as learning, they tend to have, gain more engagement, all these things. But if you actually see, because you are also a LinkedIn influencer, I wanted to ask you, someone is just starting out today, like maybe a college grad or someone who doesn't have that much traction on LinkedIn. What is your advice? Because everyone these days talk about personal branding. Everyone says that you need to be a star on LinkedIn. So how do you see this thing, and what advice do you have?
I would really, first of all, like I'm not an influencer. I am not influenced myself. I am no way near influence others. So the the thing I would say is like believe in quality rather quantity. Right? Like there are, when a lot of people came to me and asked like, what should I put in my portfolio? Rather than putting just like a bunch of predict and fit statement, create a problem statement around you, right? See what is happening, right? Like a typical example is you have coronavirus going on now, and because of coronavirus there will be a lot of job losses and everything that are already. So what is the impact to the financial system, right? Take that as a problem statement and try to collect data. The data collection is a bigger challenge rather than the fit and predict. So try to collect related data and then try to create a portfolio out of it. So when you're posting something, you might you might get more the right kind of interaction with your post when it's a quality content, rather than you just believe on what is there in the market, and maybe one of the recruiter or one of any other hiring manager may also notice. So believe in quality is what I would say.
Oh, nice. And you were also a blogger. So how do you compare blogging as a platform and YouTube videos as a platform? Do you find any advantages or disadvantages over each other?
I kind of like writing, because when I write, I don't have to worry about the pronunciation. So I, as I said, I have that problem, and I also like kind of think. I see. I don't make a script, so I just speak what comes to my mind. So that's the reason maybe I may have some stammering also in between. Writing is good, but there are something you can not convey in the writing. It's very difficult. You get, yeah, if you're going to write a blog that is 3 page long, nobody is going to sit and read. When you write, you need to keep it as short as possible and convey the message. When you create a video, you can express more of you. One thing I noticed with blogging, at least the LinkedIn blog, the reason I had to move out of it is it has very limited search capability. It's very difficult for your article to come on a search, you Google search or something like that. Medium can come in, but Medium make sure that you publish into a paywall so that like they give more visibility to it. So if the blogging channel adds some limitation, whereas I found YouTube was pretty open. They did not have this kind of restriction, and that's why I switched to YouTube. One is to convey more, and second thing is you can show on a code demo as well. You can actually talk the best practices more freely. So that was the reason.
Okay. And I think we are almost in the end, and I wanted to ask you this question. So the domain that you have picked to put videos, machine learning and AI, it is one of the domains where people have boot camps, people have courses, people have MBAs, people have everything around it. So how do you see these two world? One is like content creators like you who post free videos on YouTube, and there is another world who has, you know, they are quite popular. They are like an influencer, but their material is all closed and they have a paid service. Either it's like an institute, like okay, I don't want to name an institute, but there are many institutes that you come across. So how do you see these two worlds? And if someone is there fresh out of college or who wants to build a career on it, which path they should take?
Like a lot of I would say a lot of people always seek for a good mentor, right? If you ask me if my videos are there, yes, it is there. I reply to comment, but am I a good mentor? No, because I don't have time for that one-on-one connectivity, and that's why really courses help in some cases. At least the courses that are run that those are not pre-compiled and they're on the network, where there are live sessions going on. There is always like a one-on-one connect. So definitely that world will also be there. uh, the way I look at it, if somebody able to afford it and somebody thinks like having a certificate or having a formal course matters, then people definitely flock onto it and then they use you as a reference. But some who think like, okay, knowledge is more than certification, they maybe come onto this open channels or free channels and then learn and then try it out and build a portfolio. So both will exist over time. Right. The closed content are good because you get direct mentoring. The open content is good because you're able to scale to a larger audience who are not able to afford clothes.
Okay, so that's so if you need personal mentor, then opt for a course where someone can personally teach you. But anything like otherwise, a
Right, and I
pre-recorded
would say
content would
like
do well.
check the profile of the delivery person who is giving that content, because I know like today there are a lot of courses. There are really more courses than ever before. So you also need to check the profile that if he's able to connect the real world challenges when they are teaching. Sometimes that is lacking in many.
Okay, okay. And I think this is probably my final question. Do you have any inspirations on YouTube, or you are like, no, 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 so I'm my own
No,
inspiration?
I started learning a lot of things like I'm not like a educated data scientist. I am being a data in most of my career, and then I shifted to data science because one of my customer needed a solution at that time. So I have been learning through a lot of platform. I would say Khan Academy and Three Blue One Brown, right? Or whatever. Like I forgot the name. Three Blue One Brown. So these two have been my primary source of learning a lot of information. And there is also like channels by handling videos and all the MIT courseware. And so I just pick and choose the right audience as per that. So these days maybe I don't go to YouTube learning a lot, but I do go when there's a lot of conferences, right? If there's a Spark AI conference or if it's a Google Cloud conference, so I go, or a H2O conference. I just go and pick and choose video that I want to learn and know more about it. But definitely, I would say like a Khan Academy, Three Blue, One Brown as for me when I started learning.
Okay, great. And should I assume that these are the only ways you usually learn yourself or upgrade yourself, or there are other ways how you
I
keep yourself updated?
The one thing is I go with the documentation also a lot of cases. So not only like to get into details of it. So one is I go documentation. The second good way I like to learn is I pay for the certification, and then I don't have any option. Once you pay for the certification and you fix a date, it motivates me to learn faster. And that's how, if you see, the reason I have some, I don't believe in certification, but the reason I have the certification is I pay for it and then learn, so it motivates me. So that is also a way. I use YouTube. I use a lot of blogs. I just go do a Google search and find whatever blog is good. I learn from that as.
That's really really nice, and it's really great to talk to you about your channel's growth and other in fact LinkedIn insights that I could get from you. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope this audio podcast is really helpful for someone who is interested in creating new content and can inspire them.
Thank you,
Thank you
Abdul,
so
and
much.
thank you again for having me. Thank you.